Hello, hello, guys. Hopefully, we don't have any technical errors. It went off for a second. My name is Raven Woods, and I am the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. I help parents rock their IEP, obviously, from start to finish by helping them gain the knowledge and confidence that they need to become the CEO of their meeting and their IEP. Um, and really get what's needed and deserved and most appropriate for their children. So that's what I do, if that makes any sense. So again, my name is Raven Woods for anybody that's hopping on now and anybody that hops on later in the replay. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, and I help parents really rock their child's IEP by helping them from literally start in the beginning to finish and helping them really gain the knowledge and confidence that they need to rock their child's IEP. And by doing that, they're able to get their children what's needed, what's appropriate, and so well deserved. Okay? So today we're going to be talking about some really cool topics. Hello, Keela. How are you? If you hop on here and you're one of my oldies but goodies like Keela here, make sure to share this out. I want this to get out to as many people as possible. This is such a good topic, and plus this is such an amazing group that we need to share it. It's grown in such a huge way. I've literally just been doing, not advocating, but just been doing this online for 7 weeks, and our group and page is like almost at 1,000. It's crazy. So if you're new and you're hopping on here, definitely post who you are, where you're from. If you're oldie but goodie, do the same thing so everybody gets to know you too. And definitely hop on here and share, because so many parents need help with the IEP. I've even gotten educators coming to me saying, there's a lot of this that I just wasn't aware of, and I really want to advocate for my kids. And that's one of the things I'm actually going to talk about here when we talk about the gatekeepers, okay? So today you want to stick around, and I'm telling you why, because we're going to talk about the gatekeepers, if that makes sense. And we're going to talk about the 10 reasons why the school system says no. It may not be all the reasons, but it's a lot of the top ones. And I learned this in a Wright's Law training by Pete Wright. I trained with him, and I've done many, many, many of his trainings because I'm big on furthering my education and advocating for parents and knowing my stuff, because not everybody knows everything. None of us do, but I really try to be knowledgeable about what I teach so that I'm giving out accurate information. And if I ever don't know something, as many of you know, I'll say I don't know, and I will get the information from you or for you. I have a lot of people in my network, attorneys as well, and they've mentored me, and it's just been a great ride. But I really love doing what I do, and I hope that passion comes out and shows. So hello, hello to everybody's hopping on. Make sure to post who you are, where you're from, so that we can all get to know each other. And even if you're watching the replay, still post who you are, where you're from, and I promise to respond. All right, so let's get started, okay? So gatekeepers, I got my notes like I always do on Thursday night, so I stay on task. When you advocate for your child, okay, you're likely to meet a gatekeeper. All right. And the gatekeeper is the person that limits the number of children who have access to special education and services. Okay. Their job is to say no. Okay. And they limit the services that your child has. Have you ever hit that brick wall where you go to the child's teacher, or you go to a psychologist within the school, or somebody in the school, and you just feel like you've just hit that wall and they don't budge, and you know they're the people that you avoid going to because they're just not workable? So it's important to understand that they are told to do this, okay? There's a chain of command within the school system. It's completely political. There's a bureaucracy back there, and you have to understand that a lot of times the teachers are just doing what they're told. And so don't always post blame on the teachers, because sometimes it's not just them. Of course, there's good and bad teachers, but a lot of times if you're hitting a wall with them, or you're hitting a wall with a psychologist or a counselor or something like that, it's because they're either, number one, not aware of the laws. Number two, they're told by the higher ups to do certain things and they have to do it. And what really sucks for the teachers and people down below the administration is they're listening to the higher ups because they don't want to lose their job. And that's the unfortunate part, is the unfairness there of, not only do they try to intimidate us parents, but they have done that to their own staff. And it's unfortunate. So know that you're going to hit a gatekeeper somewhere in your IEP history, and going further and continuing, and you have this journey that you're going to be taking, and I promise you're going to hit a gatekeeper, and you have to know how to work with them, but understand that that is their job, to say no. So it's kind of like if you receive health insurance, right? And you have an HMO, and it's like a managed care, which is what a HMO is. And they're like gatekeepers. So if they deny something that you're going to the doctor for or whatnot, a lot of people will just say, oh, okay, and walk away. Well, the problem with that is then they won, and in all honesty, many people who do appeals, not everybody, but many people who will do appeals, not just one, sometimes two, sometimes three, they will then win and get that medical service provided to them. So that's how you have to be in the IEP, is if you hit a gatekeeper, you keep being persistent, you keep being you, and you keep pushing forward, and you don't give up. Okay, so when you hit a gatekeeper, there's somebody that's going to say no, but you have to know as the parent to be persistent, because your children are worth it. And just know and be aware that you're going to hit gatekeepers. It's going to happen. Okay, so I see people hopping on. Welcome. My name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP. I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to really rock their child's IEP by getting their children what's needed, appropriate, and well-deserved. So if you're new, say hello, tell me where you're from, and we are talking about gatekeepers and the 10 reasons why schools will say no. So let's move on from the gatekeepers. Okay, so just understand that you're going to hit gatekeepers, all right? They're the people that say no. You have to be persistent, and you have to keep pushing forward. Just like that HMO, and they tell you no, you can't have that medical service. Don't walk away like a lot of people do. Keep being persistent. With the medical thing, you would put in an appeal. With the same thing with the IEP, you just keep being persistent and don't quit, okay? So gatekeepers may tell you a couple things: that you can't get an evaluation, that you can't change anything in the IEP, you can't get more services, you can't get different services. It's all about the no's, okay? And if you know the laws and regulations, which that's why you're here, right? Then you won't be intimidated or disappointed by these gatekeepers. Okay, and just know it's their job to say no. And what do you do when you meet a gatekeeper? Do you accept the no? Absolutely not. You don't accept the no. So you need to learn to persuade not only them, but your child's team, that your child's situation is different and requires a different approach, which is something we're going to also talk about in the 10 reasons why they say no. Every child with special needs is different. They need different services. They need a different educational plan of action so that they can learn and that they can succeed for future, which is the goal of special education, is to prepare your child for the future. Okay, so we have to learn to persuade them And that's why I've talked to you almost every week about this is all about a certain way to communicate. And it's a very difficult way to communicate, to be quite honest with you, because it's not the norm. It's not what we're used to at all. So it's something that it's going to take practice. I will work with you and we will nail it together because it is a huge thing on communication, and it's just a different way. So it's like teaching yourself a new thing to learn, because it's actually a difficult way to communicate. It's just not the norm. It's actually very frustrating that we have to do that, but you know, it's important to learn. It's very important to learn. Hello, hello. I'm going to talk to everybody after I get through this, okay? I got my notes, I'm focused, so I'm going to stay focused, and then we'll say hi and I'll answer some questions like I always do at the end, okay? So let's move forward. We can't make exceptions. So you meet a gatekeeper, you hit a wall, you stay persistent, you don't take no for an answer, you persuade them to go about things in your way and why, and then you don't make exceptions for it. The school districts have systems of rules that govern how decisions are made and by whom. Okay, and as you work to develop the appropriate program for your child, you may run into these gatekeepers, and their job is to uphold what the higher ups say, and we can't make exceptions to that rule. That's their rule. That's not our rule. Okay. We can't make exceptions to it, and it's related to we have never done that before. So let me explain that. And I wrote it like this so that I could then explain it to you. All right, we can't make exceptions for what they do and what rules they have. If the higher ups want to tell the teachers or whoever the gatekeeper is that keeps saying no and keeps us at that wall, that is what is, and they have to keep being the gatekeepers and saying no, we're not going to make an exception for that. We're not going to take the no. We're going to stay persistent, and we're going to, just like they've not done that before. They've most likely, it's almost like they pick new gatekeepers, because it gets wearing and tearing on that gatekeeper, to be quite honest. I've heard it personally. And so gatekeepers skip around and they say no for a reason, which is because typically the higher ups are telling them to say that. There are times where they're told to say no for other reasons, but then a lot of times too, this is more seldom, where they just say no because they don't know the rules, laws, and regulations. All right, so let's get moving to the 10 reasons why schools say no. So again, if you're on here, make sure to share this. Let's get this out there to as many people as possible, because this group has grown in such a huge way. I want it to keep growing. I think that's so awesome, and I'm so glad that this whole group and everybody involved is helping each other. So the 10 reasons why schools say no. You ready? The first one is the school does not want to change long-standing procedures. And when I learned this in a rights law training, I had to write this down because it was so genius, and how it was explained was amazing, and I loved that. So the school does not want to change long-standing procedures. So take it like this, because remember I taught you guys that you have to look at things in their perspective as well. If you understand how someone else thinks about things, you're going to be more prepared in how you're going to communicate to them, because you don't want to hit that brick wall. So honestly, they get comfortable. They get really comfy and they don't want to change. But the problem is they have to change. They don't have a choice. When there's an IEP in place, special education is in place, and there's different things that are different than a typical child, the school system has to accommodate, and they can't get comfy in their little recliner chair and sit back and think that things aren't going to change. They have to be open, just like we are, to change. We have to be the ones who accept certain things about our children that we may not like, and they have to accept the fact that because of that, we're going to push harder and have expectations for our kids and hold the school accountable for making sure services are handled, making sure things are taken care of, and making sure our kids get what they need. So don't let the school become comfy in their long-standing procedures, because honestly, it's because parents have not said anything, which is why I want to get parents talking more. I want them more adamant about going after the school system and holding them accountable, because if that you don't, it's going to keep trickling down. And so I always talk about, don't just think about us and right now. Of course, you're going to take care of you and your child, but I always try to think about, what about the children that are coming as well? We want this problem to stop, and it's up to us to change it, not just for our children, but children that are coming behind our children. So the second one is, the school does not want to make exceptions to existing policies or practices. Okay, well, again, it goes back to, they have to make things flexible for our children and know that with an IEP and normal existing practices change, our children, hey Rachel, all things change with special education children. With typical children, children change. Your child is different than my child, and my child is different than somebody else's child. So there can be no same policy or procedure or way to do something for just my child. That would be like them doing one thing for my child and then duplicating that to your child and then somebody else's child and somebody else's child. Come on now, that doesn't work. That doesn't even work with normal human beings who are in the everyday world and working. Everybody's different. You approach people differently. And if you think about it, you may say you have 3 good friends. I bet you all 3 of those friends are different. And you probably have dialogue with them a little bit differently. One may be your friend that is kind of like me, don't come cry on my shoulder. I'm a let's take care of it kind of girl. If one of my friends come to me, it's okay, let's solve this problem. Let's solve it now and figure it out. If we need to cry, we're going to cry later, but let's solve the problem right now. I'm a problem solver. So I'm the one that my friends come to when they don't want a shoulder to cry on, but they want someone to help them resolve whatever's going on in their life. Now, one of my other friends, she's a social worker, and she's the person that everybody goes to cry on their shoulder, to empathize with them. And I empathize, but I'm more, okay, let's fix this. Let's make this right, And she's more, okay, let me give you a hug and let me, and I don't not give hugs. I'm not mean. I just, let me solve the problem. That's just me. And she's more the, oh, let me love on you. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where no school can do that. And I like giving analogies like I just did, because that's life. And the school system and them there are still people, and they understand life. So if you throw that, I always talk about teaching. When I taught, or, if you're going to go into an IEP, you have to learn how to tell your story, because stories are huge. If you go in and dictate, and I want this and I want that, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, you're going to hit a brick wall. If you learn how to tell your story in a really good and solid way, which is what I teach you to tell your story. I teach you the laws, I teach you all that stuff. But if you learn how to tell your story, they're human beings, okay? And a lot of our stories are touching, and it makes it an open platform for people to want to help us. So, and believe me, I know, because I was that one who hit the brick wall all the time because of my attitude at the IEP meeting, because I had no tolerance, and I still don't have tolerance. But I've learned to be more open. I've learned to hear them out. I've learned to empathize with what they may say or are going through, but I still put my foot down and I still go after what I want. So there's just a way to go about it. So let's move on to number 3. The school is afraid of setting a precedent. This is a big one. This is a really big one. And it's so, so, so true. I can't tell you how many times I personally have been told, Raven, you're a full-time job. I need to, this was told to me by the director of special services. Raven, you are a full-time job. I need to just quit my job and work for you. That's what she said to me. Okay. Bottom line, she said that my child gets more services and more than any other child in my county. So that's what I said to her. So, and the reason I said so was there's no way I'm going to feel bad that I have fought as hard as I have for my child to go feel bad that my child gets more services than anybody else. Now, why she's telling me that, I don't know, and I don't care. But I also know that, and that's another reason I do what I do. My child should not be the only one who gets all that. She's going to get that and then more. But other children deserve that too. It shouldn't be. So when she said that to me, it made me think, this is really messed up. Why is that? And that's what I said too. Why is that? Why won't you give other kids what they need? Why won't you do that? Why don't you reach out and offer help to other parents? But they don't do that. You don't ever expect a phone call if your child needs this. Can we set up speech therapy? Not going to happen. And that really sucks. All right, so let's move on to number 4. The school does not have the staff to meet my child's needs. Have you run into that problem? Okay, well, let me tell you what the problem is here, because there's no problem. I don't care if they have the staff. That's honestly even better for me. So they have to hire outside of the school system and contract out. By law, they have to do that. They have to provide your child what's needed and appropriate for them to continue to learn and not be impacted by their disability. They have to continue to progress. So if the school system does not have the staff that's going to meet your child's needs, they have to, must, whatever word you want to use, get somebody from the outside, hire out, and have those services provided and your child's needs met. Okay. The 5th reason of why schools say no is the staff is not trained to meet the child's needs. Again, so what? They should be. They should have highly qualified and extensively trained teachers because that's what the law states. However, if they're going to tell you that they don't, but they're not going to tell you that. But that's one of the reasons they say no. So what they have to do is, again, they have to hire out. They have to train their staff and make them highly qualified. And let me explain that to you, because that's difficult to understand. Not only does a teacher, whoever works with your child, have to be licensed, of course, and have their degree and be hired by the school system. Okay, that's a teacher. But when you teach special education, not only do you have to be a teacher, but you have to be highly qualified, meaning a special education teacher, highly qualified, and if it's a gen ed teacher, they have to be extensively trained. That's not 40 hours. That's not 10 hours. That's not, oh, let me give you a day of how to work with a child with Down syndrome, or how to work with a child with ADHD, or how to work with a child with autism. No, that's extensively trained. That's a big word, okay? That's not 24 hours. That's not 40 hours. That's a lot of training, okay? Extensive. So there's honestly, that word, there's not a small cap on that. It's big. So they have to have that, and they need to deal with that. But that's not going to be your problem, because they now have to hire outside sources, contract out, and provide what's needed and appropriate for your child while they're training their staff. Okay, so never fall for these things. Okay, and you can start asking questions to find out why they're saying no. That's another topic. We'll talk about that another day, but I'll help you figure out which one of these is the problem. So let's move on to number 5. Okay, we just did number 5. So number 6. All right, the school does not have a program to meet the child's needs. So again, the school system has to hire out. They have to hire out and contract out to be able to bring the program to your child, or your child can be bused to where they are and provide your child what's needed and appropriate for their needs. Again, what your child's needs is different from my child's needs. So whatever your child's needs are, the school system has to provide that. I don't care if there's no highly qualified teachers. They need to go do that, make a state complaint saying that they're not. Then, because they're going to have to rectify that. Then, and they're going to have to prove why they're not extensively trained. Then you need to have them hire out and provide the services that your child needs, okay? And it's unfortunate they have to seek all these other programs. That costs them more money than training their teachers. And they could extensively train teachers. They could actually pay teachers through the summer so teachers don't have to get second jobs, which most of them do, and pay them through the summer and them solely do training. I mean, that's a genius idea, but are they going to do it? No. So now possibly if a miracle happens, right? All right, so let's move on to number 7. The school is committed to their one-size-fits-all service delivery model. That's a big one, but it also goes back to one-size-fits-all is not a one. There's no such thing. We're all not going to fit into a certain box. No child, no adult, nobody. So they need to quickly get over the one-size-fits-all. And it does not work with special needs children, okay, who are very, very, very different from each other, and they have individual needs, and those needs must be met. And there cannot be a one-size-fits-all when it comes to anybody, let alone a special needs child. Number 8, the school believes the services your child needs are too expensive. Not my problem. If you can't provide the services that my child needs in your school system and you have to hire out and contract out, whose fault is that? Theirs. And you say it straight up, just like that, you know, because it's not your problem. Stop allowing the school to make their problems yours, because it doesn't matter how much money it costs. It doesn't matter what needs to happen by law. And an IEP is not just a legal document. It's under a federal plan. It's not just a so what kind of document that you can take someone to civil court for. It is federal. So it is serious. You actually go before this supreme judge if you go to due process. I mean, it's something that's super, super important. You know, there's a story of a child, and this happened a couple years ago, where the whole IEP team agreed that this child would be provided with this kind of technology to where they could communicate. And the school got angry and became vindictive of the parents, and decided to say, hey, if you don't sign this and agree to what we propose, then we're not going to give back the technology for their child to communicate. Needless to say, nobody in the school system knew that both parents were attorneys. They were able to get a court date with a Supreme Court judge within a week and a half. That case, I can find out the number, you can look it up. But not only was the judge completely disgusted and upset that this was even something the school system would do, to take something from a special needs child that was the only way they could communicate, because they wanted to be vindictive and intimidate the parents. So never allow the school to intimidate you. If you don't sign this, we're not going to do this. Oh, no, no, no. It does not work like that. I would immediately go to mediation where there's a mediator there. I would immediately make a state complaint. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. That is not allowed. They're not allowed to intimidate you. That is against the law. It's a form of harassment, and it's not okay. All right, so let's move on to number 9. The school is overwhelmed by the complexity of your child's needs. Okay, well, hire highly qualified, extensively trained teachers who want to be doing what they're doing because they're there, and they are trained to deal with children with possible behavior problems. Whatever the case may be, they are trained to do that. Either way, by law, the school system still needs to provide your child what's needed and deserved and the services that they need to move forward in life, okay? Number 10, the school does not understand the legal requirement to provide your child with an IEP. That goes back to they need training and the fact that this is a legal document. So school systems need training. I have personal experience, and I've talked to many people who've had this issue, where service providers and teachers are not even given the IEP. What? I mean, it makes no sense to me. Now, special education teachers typically have the IEP. And, you know, the administration, obviously. But the problem is a lot of times the special education teacher does not go to all the service providers, speech, PT, OT, etc., and then to the general ed teacher and give them the IEP. And most of them, specifically the gen ed teacher, a lot of them don't read it, or they don't understand it. And so then it's not implemented, and then parents get frustrated because their child is in the least restrictive environment, yet they're not getting the services that they need, deserve, and is in their IEP. So you have to be very aware of this. Make sure you download my daily communication sheet and give that to the school system immediately and have them fill it out in full. It's editable. You can get a form that my child actually uses, and then you can actually get a form like it, but it's editable, so you can put whatever it is your child has. So it's important to understand that there's reasons why no happens. There's people put in place, the gatekeepers of why no is kind of given. It's their job, and they are not always led by it being their choice. They're sometimes led by the fact that they're being told to say no. So that's today's content. I hope you enjoyed it. So now we're going to move on. And if anybody has questions, anybody new who's hopped on again or replay, my name's Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to really rock their child's IEP and get what's needed, deserved, and appropriate for their children. So anybody have questions? I'll stay on for a little bit more. We can, you know, have some conversation. You can ask questions. Do you have any questions about tonight? Did you share this? If you share this, I'll give you a shout out and maybe a free gift. But definitely share this and get this out there. Again, I'm just so crazy impressed at the fact that I've literally just been online on this. I've been an advocate for a long time, but I've just been online doing this for 7 weeks, and the page is almost at 1,000. The group's at like 800 or something. That's crazy in 7 weeks, right? So hello, Jeff and Jesse Miller, new viewer from North Carolina. Awesome. Welcome. So we're done with the content for tonight. So if you need to watch the replay, go ahead and do that. And we're now doing kind of a question and answer for a little bit. And if you share, I will give you a gift. And we'll talk about some more things that you bring to the table. So hopefully, did you enjoy tonight? Did it give you some information? Anything new? What did you think? Does anybody have anything coming up? Any IEPs, any meetings? How can I help? All right. I need to know how to advocate for transportation to services for my middle and daycare, my middle from daycare and the school or back to daycare services. Okay. The school said they are not allowed to transport him. He's in elementary school. Let me know, Rachel, if he's in elementary school. So raise your hand if you shared this, so I can write your names down. If not, message me. And don't forget to check out the Educational Vault. I'm still giving out free stuff. If you get the bundle, you get 1 hour free with me, which is $147 value. Plus, I'm throwing in, obviously, the extra 15 minutes for the discovery call. So you'll get an hour and 15 minutes with me, which is a $147 value. If you get the bundle, which is also half off, and make sure you put in the number 75 in the code. So if you haven't gotten that yet, we're talking the evaluation and independent evaluation guide that goes from beginning to end, what you need to do, the meeting, etc. Then you also have your 8 email templates. I'm actually adding to that, which you guys, if you buy the email templates, you'll get that for free automatically. And then it also has the 5 laws in which you have to know, understand in detail. And so not only do I give you the 5 laws, but I give you an hour and a half of me explaining each and every one in grave detail. So it's an amazing bundle. You get it for half off now. Put the number 75 in there, and then you also get an hour free with me. So let me know if you have any questions about that. All right. Okay, Keela, awesome. He is 4. Okay, Rachel, is he in the school system? Because typically the school system starts at age 3 and goes to 21. So if he is in the school system, by law, they have to provide transportation, whether that be bus, or my daughter started out with bus, but I fought for private transportation because of issues that happened. So it's not like I could just come out the gate and say, I want private transportation. I wouldn't have had a leg to stand on, but it was, you know, several years of bus issues, and the attendant that gets on the bus issues, to where they even said screw it and put Sky with a private provider. Thank God, because it's been awesome. But they have to provide transportation. Okay, and that's going to be by bus. My daughter started out on a bus at 2. People couldn't believe that I didn't take her to school. No, I wanted her to ride the bus. I wanted her to experience that. And it helped her get out of her comfort zone, which I've always pushed her to get out of her comfort zone. So, so I hope that answers your question, but if you need me to kind of gather some more information for you, you and I haven't talked yet, so set up a discovery call and let's chat. Okay? The school. Keela says the school my child currently goes to now doesn't understand his autism and IEP plan. I want to transfer to another school, but I'll be responsible for my own transportation. No, if your child's in special education, any school in your county, they have to provide transportation to. So, and a lot of times children with special needs don't go to their home school, but as long as it's within the same county, the school has to provide transportation. However, if they don't understand his autism and IEP plan, there's 2 different things that can go on here. One is they haven't been explained the IEPs, or what's the problem there? Because on the other end, it could be that's not the right school for him if you've kind of tried problem solving, because transferring a child to a different school, it's a big deal, you know, for them. It's change. So if you've tried and it's not working and you've tried to explain it, you've had meetings, etc., it's a done deal. You change your child. Make sure you change your child to a school that, because in my county, different schools offer different services. So if you have a child with severe behavior problems, you may not go to school A, but they'd go to school B. And so it doesn't matter where your child goes to school within your county. As long as it's within your county, they have to bus them. Okay. they don't let them say that you have to provide transportation. That's not true. And you too can set up a discovery call. I don't know if you bought the bundle. I know you were talking about it, but if you bought the bundle, then we'll set up an hour and 15-minute call. So let me know. So not in school yet. So where are you wanting them to bus, Rachel, if they're not in school? If he's not in school yet, then they don't have to provide services. Just so you know, if he's not in the school system, which he could be because it's 3 to 21, but if he's not in the school system yet, then they don't have to provide anything. All right. Jeff and Jesse shared. All right, so I'm going to look at all this. The school told me that they cannot transfer him because they would have to go through another school system, but doesn't make sense because they transfer kids through the district for fair. Yeah, that's not true at all. You need to go to the special education director and let her know that transportation is provided to every child within that county, and children with special needs, doesn't matter what school they go to, are provided a bus and transportation, and that's law. That you know, if you need to show her the law, that you can, but she should know the law and know that transportation is provided within the county, and also outside the county. I'm going to tell you guys on Monday, after I do my tips and tricks, the story and how I'm resolving my daughter's reading issue, and she's going to be taken about 50 minutes away every day because I'm sacrificing that for her to get this intensive therapy. So they have to provide transportation to wherever your child is going to get what's needed and appropriate for them. They have to provide the transportation. They have to. So you need to, we need to talk, or you need to hire an advocate in your area. I do travel, but I prefer to do like a VIP session or a 2-hour session with people where I teach you exactly what to do. Once you try it one time, say it doesn't work, then I do come to you. And we can talk about that further if that's needed. But my goal is to teach you exactly what you need to do, exactly what should be said, how things should be said, how to problem solve, and then, which is why the 5 laws are so important for absolutely everybody. And the fact that I take an hour and a half to go through them intensively with you is huge, because you need to know these laws. These are the 5 laws that are going to help a lot of these things that you guys are talking about. So it's important. And the evaluation and IE guide is huge as well. Okay, so so I hope I answered the transportation question. They don't have a choice. They have to transport your child to and from where they need to go for their needs to be most appropriately met. And my daughter was in early childhood education at 2, and she was bused. That part of the problem, Keela says, part of the problem with different schools and services, but they stated I couldn't get transportation because my daycare is not zoned to the school. Okay, that does make sense. The school he currently attends, he runs out of class up to 10 times per day, and he's not learning. I've been in the school district and transportation, they said the same, but right now I need to help with the IEP coming in the 9th. Yeah, so I would definitely, if you haven't bought the bundle, do that. Get the hour and 15 minutes, and we'll create a plan of action via Zoom so we see each other and we talk, and we'll help you for your IEP. Once you get the bundle and your hour and 15 minutes, I'm going to need your IEP, any type of evaluation, any information you can scan over to me for me to view ahead of time so that our conversation is very productive. Because I like to get to know your situation individually. And I see a lot of these IEPs and a lot of these evaluations and a lot of the notes, even emails, so that I can get a good picture of what I'm working with so that I can really create a plan of action sometimes before we even speak, and then we go over it in detail and tweak it and figure out what's going to work. All right. As far as the transportation, I will say you're out of luck there, because if your child's outside the school zone area, that is true. They do not have to bus. So you either need to find a daycare provider within your county, or I know sometimes you can change schools to that child care's county, but you need to be careful of that, because if things don't work with the daycare, then you're changing back and it just becomes a lot on your child. Okay, you rock. You are the attorney for IEPs. I'm definitely not an attorney, but yes, I love advocating and being a disability advocate and IEP expert. You know, I definitely am an expert in the IEPs, but I think we all have tons to learn every single day, myself included. But I love to learn. It's just something I have always loved to do. Getting my master's degree was a piece of cake. And I don't even use it anymore. I'm advocating for children with special needs. No, I got one master's in business management and one in educational leadership. So, but those didn't teach me about IEPs. It was pure experience and training and the love of what I do because of what I've gone through with my own child, and still continue to have some hiccups. Not with the IEP team, but with her progressing and goals and that sort of thing. So that's really my focus right now. I don't have to fight for, like transportation or services or, that kind of thing right now. But I pretty much create her plan of action, and I'm focused on being very proficient in goals, and even in creating my course that I'm creating for all of you. Literally, I start from the IEP, from start where evaluations and identification and everything like that start, and I take it all the way to the end where you're rinsing and repeating, and the end. And one of the things that I'm writing about tomorrow, it's going to be module 5. There's 6 modules, which is tests, measurements, goals, etc. And I'm teaching you in this module how to read not only what the goals mean, but how to read tests and measurements and bell curves and what that means, because that is key to understanding where your child is so that you can fight for what's needed and appropriate and have every leg to stand on, because you're literally going off the testing and assessments. And honestly, there's no wording in tests anymore. They call it assessments. So if you ever hear tests mean assessments, same darn thing. But I think the school system now calls it solely assessments. But yeah, so I'm going to be writing on that. So I'm finally at number 5. Yes, I end writing this week, and then I'm moving on to editing it, and then recording it, and then getting it out to all of you, hopefully by the end of January. I am so stoked about it. And you don't have to worry. It's not going to be crazy expensive. It's going to be reasonable. I'm doing payment plans. And the cool part about it is you get so much. It's a surprise, but you get so much. It's amazing. Plus you get me, so it's nice. But it's something I've been wanting to do. It's been a goal and a love of mine, and I feel that you're going to still listen to me, and I'm still going to be here. But it's a way for you to really do your homework, and parents need to do their homework. I can't be the end all be all. Nobody can. And what you really have to focus on, and one thing I'm going to be doing for you guys, is so many questions you have to answer. And once you have all these questions answered pertaining to start to finish in your child's IEP and the journey that you're on right now, is the fact that once these questions are answered, once you understand your 5 laws, which you need to get, I cannot emphasize that anymore. The 5 laws and the hour and a half of me going through them so you understand them is crucial, because it's not just about the 5 laws. You can go read law all you want online or whatever, but it's about the hour and a half that I take with you, because in the laws they say something, okay, and it means something else. And that's what gets frustrating for parents is, but the law says this, and they go quote it to the school system, which you don't want to do. And they don't understand why it's not working. And so I go through all of that with you, and that's why it's so crucial. And I'm not going to stop talking about it. It's not that I want to make a sale or anything like that. Go read the 5 laws on Google. If you understand it and you can implement it, that's awesome. But the reason why I talk about it is because I did take that extra hour and a half. Why? Because I know from what I've gotten in feedback is parents are struggling with reading this stuff. I struggled with it until I had extensive training on how to understand it, how to read it, how to dissect it, and then how to go implement it. Huge difference between go and read law than take the action behind it, right? So that's where I'm coming when I say that. All right, so hopefully I answered all your questions. Rachel and Keela set up appointments. I'm going to go back on this tomorrow morning and I'll look at who shared, and I'll be able to see it that you shared. And what we will do is I will be sending you off a free gift. Okay, so we will go from there, but make sure you make either your 15-minute discovery call just to chit chat with me, give me an idea of what you're working with, and then we'll go from there. And if you want to just get the hour, go grab the bundle, which you need anyway, and which is half off. Then you get a whole hour and 15 minutes with me, whichever way you want to do it. But I can tell you in 15 minutes, it's really just, okay, this is the issues I'm having. This is what I'm going through. This is what I need for my child. And then we set up whatever needs to happen after that. So, but yeah, definitely do that. And we'll definitely talk more. Okay. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of gatekeepers and the 10 reasons. 10 reasons is just the minimalist of how many reasons the school will say no, but they're kind of the top reasons. And again, I got all of this actually from training with Wright's Law, an extensive training that I took. And I had to write it down, and plus I recorded and everything else because I wanted to process the information and I wanted to understand it and then be able to go teach it, which is what it's all about, right? So it's something that I just love. I hope you guys see that. So I just want to help you guys. I want to help these kids, and I hopefully want to, people go about and they say, oh, I want to change the world. I don't want to change the world. I'm one person, but I feel like doing good in this arena is going to be huge, and helping parents become knowledgeable and confident and become the CEO of that meeting is going to make such a huge change for all the kids coming after ours, along with our children. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, is paying it forward and taking care of our own as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will talk to you again on Monday for the tip of the week. And that is at 8 o'clock right here on the page. And then Tuesday is the private question and answer only for group members. And then Thursday at 8 o'clock, it is the content right here on the page. So I will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to hear from many of you. I'll talk to you soon.